The Senate heads to recess Friday, or maybe it'll be Saturday. The calendar is very convoluted right now. But anyway, it's going to be this weekend. That means time is running out to consider a big crypto regulation bill. It's called the Clarity Act, and it passed the House with a bipartisan vote last year. And it would give federal agencies new power to monitor digital assets like cryptocurrency. Ryan VanGrack is the vice chair at Coinbase, let us say a very interested party in this, and joins me now. I know you're going to be optimistic. That is your obligation. You are duty-bound to tell me you are hopeful this is going to happen by Saturday. But you know as well as I do, there are lots of legislative planes to land, and prospects are, I will say, dim.
Well, you're right. First of all, it's great to be on, Major. I remain optimistic because legislation is never linear.
Right.
Last-minute negotiations and compromises are the norm, not the exception when it comes to D.C. And what matters here is that the substance is largely done. You have a multi-hundred-page bill with customer protections and law enforcement tools. And what matters here is that bill is a product of extensive negotiations with Republicans and Democrats. And typically, when the substance is good and it's done on a bipartisan basis, you usually, in the end up in the right place. And I think the Senate will not squander this rare opportunity to get it done.
So explain to my audience what would happen. So you have cryptocurrencies. They're differently categorized. And you have two regulatory agencies, Securities and Exchange Commission, Community Futures Trading Commission. What would this bill do?
Right. So importantly, for the first time, this bill is going to help clarify which activities belong in one space or the other. But I want to underscore that's not a unique challenge in our ecosystem. The securities and the commodities space, we have two different regulators, but they often have to collaborate and figure out which types of asset classes belong in one group or the other. And sometimes it's a little bit of both. What has happened is crypto's been around for 15 years, and no one took the time to articulate where this new technology fits within those categories. And for the first time, investors and innovators will finally know who they have to interact with when they're innovating.
And what they have to disclose and what they have to make clear to regulators to be in compliance.
Absolutely. And this is what I think is one of the biggest misnomers in this debate. The industry is seeking to be regulated. It's not fighting against it. In fact,
Slightly unusual.
It's slightly unusual. It is unprecedented. In fact, Coinbase sued the SEC to try to get it to promulgate rules and regulations. And so I think it's important to take a step back and recognize, compared to the status quo, this bill is a rare no-brainer. And that's because this bill, as you noted, will finally provide comprehensive oversight in this space. And the status quo provides none of those things. So if you vote against this bill, you are voting against hundreds of pages of protections and tools that this bill would otherwise provide.
Public Citizen put out a report last month that said the crypto industry now accounts for 37% of all tracked corporate political spending in this midterm cycle. $189 million in this midterm cycle, more than the $170 million you spent in the previous cycle. Skeptics would say, you're not spending that money because you're altruistic or you love politicians. You want something.
Well, look, we've made our case in court. We've made our case in Congress. We've made our case in public, no different than any other company. That is part of our process. But we are proud that we've given voice to the over 1 in 4 Americans who hold crypto and who believe that we should have a regulated structure. And we're proud to support members of Congress, both Republicans and Democrats, who similarly appreciate the possibilities of this technology and similarly believe this should fall under comprehensive federal oversight. And that is why crypto remains one of the most bipartisan issues in Congress, which you yourself noted at the top of the segment.
Coinbase gave $1 million to Trump's presidential inauguration, $300 million to the ballroom renovation. Any regrets?
There's never going to be a regret to participate in the political process. Again, no different than any other company.
Leverage or influence?
Well, in what regard? At the end of the day, it is not unique to contribute to efforts to help build national monuments or other nonprofit organizations. It's not unique to contribute to political candidates. We were not alone. This is not a crypto-specific endeavor. If you look at those who participated, it was kind of a who's who of major and significant industries and companies. What matters is not kind of those contributions, but at the end of the day, when we're talking about this bill, what matters is customers who are going to be protected and innovators who have the certainty to operate in this space.
If this doesn't happen before the August recess, do you have to lay this over to the lame duck?
No.
There's only going to be like 2 weeks in September, and they're going to be doing so many other things. You know that.
There's no doubt that there are time pressures and there's a sense of urgency, but just because we don't finish the process now doesn't mean we won't have time in September.
Ryan VanGrack, I appreciate the time. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it.